Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad you're here today because this is one of those stories that takes something familiar and flips it into something completely unexpected. We all know Spider-Man, the friendly neighborhood hero, the guy who swings through the city saving lives, cracking jokes, and doing the right thing even when it's hard. But what if that same hero lost control? What if the powers that made him special didn't stop evolving? Today, we're diving into one of the most disturbing and fascinating versions of Spider-Man, the terrifying transformation known as Man-Spider. Now, let me ask you something. If you suddenly gained incredible abilities, would you automatically be able to control them? Or would there always be a risk that they might control you instead? To understand this, we need to go back to the beginning. Spider-Man, also known as Peter Parker, gets his powers from a radioactive spider bite. At first, it seems like a miracle. Super strength, agility, wall crawling, everything you'd expect from a superhero. But here's something we don't always think about. That bite didn't just give him powers. It changed him on a genetic level. And in some storylines, that change doesn't stop. Instead, it keeps going. Imagine waking up one day and realizing your body isn't just enhanced, it's transforming. Not into something stronger, but into something less human. Extra limbs begin to grow. Your face starts changing. Your instincts feel different. Would you panic? Or would you try to hold on to who you are? That's exactly what happens with Man-Spider. In certain versions of the story, Peter's mutation spirals out of control. He doesn't just have spider-like abilities anymore, he starts becoming a spider. Multiple arms, fangs, a more monstrous appearance, and slowly, piece by piece, his humanity begins to slip away. And here's the part that really makes this story unsettling. It's not just physical. He starts losing his mind. The witty, responsible Peter Parker, the guy who lives by, with great power comes great responsibility, begins to disappear. In his place is something driven by instinct, fear, and survival. So let me ask you this, if you lost your sense of self, your thoughts, your identity, would you still be you? Or is who you are defined entirely by your mind? Man-Spider forces us to think about that in a way most superhero stories don't. Because usually, heroes gain control. They learn. They master their powers. But here, control is slipping away. And maybe that's what makes it so disturbing. In some animated versions of Spider-Man, this transformation is shown as a mutation that keeps evolving. At first, Peter just notices small changes. Maybe increased aggression, strange physical symptoms. But over time, it becomes something he can't stop. Think about that feeling for a second, knowing something is wrong but not being able to fix it. Have you ever experienced something like that in real life? Maybe not physically, but emotionally or mentally, where things start changing and you feel like you're losing control? That's what makes this story hit deeper than just a man turning into a spider. It becomes symbolic. It can represent obsession, stress, ambition, anything that starts small but grows until it takes over. And that raises a powerful question. How do we know when something in our lives is going too far? Because by the time Peter realizes it, it's almost too late. There are even versions where Man-Spider becomes a giant, fully spider-like creature, no longer recognizable as the hero people once trusted. And imagine how the world around him reacts. The same people who once cheered for Spider-Man now fear him. How quickly do people change their perception of someone when they stop fitting the image they expect? It's kind of scary when you think about it, because it shows how fragile reputation can be. One moment you're a hero, the next you're something people want to run away from. And here's another interesting angle. Why are stories like this so fascinating to us? Why do we love seeing darker versions of heroes? Maybe it's because they feel more real. Perfect heroes are inspiring, sure, but flawed ones? Struggling ones? Those are the ones we connect with. Man-Spider isn't just a monster. He's a warning. A reminder that power, no matter how good it seems at first, can have consequences if it goes unchecked. And honestly, that idea applies far beyond comic books. Think about success, influence, even personal growth. How often do people chase something positive, only to find themselves overwhelmed by it? So here's something I want you to really think about. Where is the line between growth and losing yourself? And how do you make sure you don't cross it? Because in Peter Parker's case, that line becomes blurred. And once it's crossed, it's incredibly hard to come back. But that's also what makes Spider-Man such an enduring character. Even in his darkest moments, there's always that struggle, that fight to hold onto his humanity. And maybe that's the real message here. Not that we'll never face change, but that we have to stay aware of who we are while going through it. Because without that awareness, we risk becoming something we never intended to be. Thanks so much for watching and spending this time with me. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of Spider-Man and want more stories that explore the hidden layers of your favorite characters, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who loves Marvel or superhero theories, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll see you in the next one.